In this video, we're going to show you how to resolve groin pain associated to an overused adductor. My name is Sebastian and this is Don. We are part of the locally world famous chiropractors in Costa Mesa, California.
Locally world famous.
There you go. So we're just going to go through some of the steps today, just so you know that there's many reasons for groin pain. And so if you do have questions at any point about what your groin pain diagnosis is, we do have a webinar in the corner, which is completely free, good resource for you. Take advantage of it. So why don't we first show them where the adductor is.
Okay.
There you go. The whole inner part of the thigh. And it's important to note that there are many adductors, but most of the time people have problems up into the inner adductor. And so since it is an overuse condition, it's hard to identify exactly the one thing that created it. It's overactive over time and can create things like tendinopathies and so on.
Absolutely. A lot of times people might have like a painful spot that they point to, but then it's also just tight down into this area. It almost feels like it radiates, like you want to get this feeling of like, if I just stretch it, I might feel better. Sometimes over time, if it doesn't resolve, you might feel other areas start working as well, kind of like up into the lower abdomen, maybe the outer part of the back or glutes. That's what we notice.
Yeah, and so the troublesome thing about this condition is is that people tend to stretch it, and then they wake up the next day and they feel like they need to stretch it, and then they wake up the next day and they need to stretch it, and you get the point. And so stretching is not a bad thing, but it's probably not the best thing to do. And so the easiest thing to do, if you've already tried to stretch and stretching is not working, let's just try the opposite. Don't stretch it. Mm-hmm. See what happens when you don't stretch it for a week. You might surprisingly find that things get better.
I think majority of the time we notice this with people is they just, this feeling of tightness, gotta stretch it. It's only giving temporary relief for making it worse. Don't stretch it for a week and you're probably gonna notice that much improvement. So step number one.
Yeah. Step number two is give it a break. And we can give it a break by allowing other things to assist in the workload. Because we know the adductor is going to work when you walk and sit down and squat and lunge. It's going to happen whether you're doing an exercise or not. It's just day-to-day activity. I'm sure it works when you put your shoe on. Mm-hmm. So let's give it a break and let's do an exercise right now that helps to bring some friends into the mix.
Absolutely.
Okay. How about a clamshell?
Let's do it.
Okay. You're the subject.
Okay.
Okay.
On my side?
Yeah, let's go on the side just like so. And let's just say that actually, let's just say Dawn's problem is going to be her upside.
Okay.
Okay. First thing I want you to do is make sure that when people do corrective exercise, by the way, it should not hurt. It should be hard. It should not hurt. And so let's start off in a good foot and make sure that you actually have good posture when you do it, because posture does matter with these. And she's going to act like there's a little campfire there, maybe a Camp Snoopy campfire underneath her body here. Okay. Don't crush Snoopy's fire. And so you know what a clamshell exercise is, right? Mm-hmm. Can you show me one? Good. Just go to town on that. Let's just see what happens, okay? Now, some of you have been doing clamshell exercises, and some of you who've been doing them think, I've done a clamshell exercise. These things don't work. I can't believe they're suggesting clamshell exercises. Right, because there's a good way and a bad way to be doing clamshell exercises. The first thing we're going to change with Dawn is make sure that she's actually going through her hip range of motion and not her lumbar spine range of motion. So I can already see back into here. You don't have a good camera view, but I can see her arching. Go ahead and exaggerate it. She's arching her low back when she's going through the full range. And that's not what we want, because this is going to continue to allow the other groups to help. But what we really want is the glute to help. Go and relax. Okay? So one thing that she can do is create a little bit of tension by pushing her, act like there's a little marker here on your knee. Can you push the marker that way and then draw a little bit of arc and a little bit down? There we go.
I don't go as far.
Yeah, that's okay. Doesn't make you a bad person. Okay, and hold it right there at the top and stay. Can you roll a little bit so this contacts onto the floor now? Your whole body's going to roll with you. The whole body's going to roll with you. Whole body's going to roll with you. Stay right there. Okay. Now, can you do a clamshell in that position? There you go. Up and down, up and down. Let's just see what happens here.
I feel my butt cheeks working.
Yeah, which butt cheek do you feel?
Both of them.
Okay, both of them. And that's okay, because what we know about the hip The top side hip is that the glute max has to help. The glute group has to help. But we also know the pelvis doesn't work in, the pelvis and the hip don't work in isolation either. And so the core is part of the mix, the other hip's part of the mix, the other adductor is part of the mix, all of it's part of the mix. And so as she goes through this, I'm okay with her having both glutes work, and I'm okay with it being hard. Stay away from Snoopy's fire, please.
Oh, yeah.
All right? The warden came at you and he said, man, you got to get away from my fire. Okay, go ahead and relax.
Whew.
Okay, so that's step 2. Step 2 is let's give it a break. The last thing we have to do is actually hit the save button or seal the deal. We just sealed the deal, okay? The foot on ground exercise seals the deal, okay? If you don't seal the deal, we didn't seal the deal. So let's do a box squat.
Deal. Okay, so basically we're going to be doing a box squat because now we want to start to load the tissue again. So here we pick kind of a low box for Seb, and that's actually what we want. We want a little bit more range. We're not trying to flex his spine, but you see that he's reaching and really taking his time getting down to the box here. And so you pick the hip width that's right for you. Maybe a little wider might actually load the adductor a little more, but see what works well for your hip range. And if you want to, Seb's doing no weight, but we can just add a little bit of light weight for counterbalance. Again, pick the box that you can control all the way down to the bottom here.
So yeah, box squatting is a really nice way to actively stretch the adductor. Deep squats, as Dawn mentioned here. If you're already having, like if you haven't squatted in a while, obviously don't add weight. You know, it should just be hard for you. And one way to easily make this more challenging for you is just to slow the pace down. I only did, 5? But it's probably okay to have people do up to 10, 15 of them or so, maybe even 20, and then just go real slow and then even take a break. So you don't need to do them all at once, but you're going to do them time after time after time.
So just to recap, step number 1, calm it down. Try not to stretch the tissue or load the tissue. So just stop stretching altogether if that's something that you're doing. Number 2, get other areas to work a little bit better. And then once we're feeling good, we load it.
So if you guys are having trouble with your problem and you're looking for some answers, things to do, we can help you out. We have virtual and in-person services, and we actually have consultations as well. We have programs online too, but if you want the best bang for buck and you want to know exactly what to do, always one-on-one attention is always best.
Absolutely.
So our contact is below. We have the webinar in the corner. Take advantage of that and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.